I hope you're having a good day already. It's a Monday. I hope you're not having your Monday blues today. Well, oh, I realize I'm wearing a blue. It's my Monday blue. But I'm having a happening start of the week, and I'm starting by meeting you. So I am having a good day. And who am I? I'm Nidhi, proud mother of a young man, creator of my own life, a lifelong seeker, an omnivore, a textile professional now, a corporate facility trainer. Soft skills and communication skills is my forte, and I'm an emotional clarity coach and an author too. छोटा सा था ना मेरा introduction. Okay, so how have you been? Where are you joining from? कहाँ से हैं आप? Questions पूछ लिए मैंने बहुत सारे because that is definitely what I'm going to be talking to you about. Questions. I want to ask you, how many times have you complained about not receiving enough information? How many times have you complained about not getting the appropriate answer? जो चीज़ आप ढूंढ रहे थे वो चीज़ आपको नहीं मिली and you were frustrated about it. How many times has that happened? Ever? Well, the reason why so many of us are frustrated because we do not get answers according to our understanding is because we don't ask the questions, the right questions. हम assumption में रह जाते हैं और हम questions सही पूछते ही नहीं हैं जो हम जानना चाहते हैं, right? सोच के देखिएगा. Because it's not about the answers, it's all about what we ask and how we ask. Are we asking the right questions? But you know what? We adults, we we just don't believe in asking. So many of us, we don't believe, majority of us actually, I should say, we don't believe in asking the right questions. We don't even believe in asking because हम लोग ना assume कर लेते हैं, अरे दुनिया ऐसे ही चलती है, ये चीज़ ऐसे ही होती है, तुम्हें पता नहीं है, मुझे सब पता है. You know, we have a lot of ifs and buts and we have a lot of reasoning why we do not ask questions. And do you know, a child can ask 70 to 120 questions in one day while an adult asks, any guesses how many questions an adult can ask in a day? 6 to 20 only. मतलब बच्चा पूछ रहा है 75 to 180, 120. And we adults 6 to 20. What happened? What happened between that journey from being a child to where we are today? क्या हो गया? We grew up, right? Because we feel we are more equipped to know more. हमें सब आता है. I know it. And another reason is also that we feel if you're going to ask a question, we might just sound silly. और ये आता कहाँ से है? Go back to your childhood. So many times why we don't ask questions. Go back to your childhood. In school, you might have asked some question. Teacher ने बोलेगा चुप होके बैठ जाओ. Stop asking. Right? We are asked to keep quiet. Or if that did not happen, you asked a question and some other child in one corner of the class laughed at you or other children laughed at you. And that made you feel embarrassed. And वो embarrassment बचपन का तो गायब हो गया, उस बच्चे को भी याद नहीं, उस टीचर को भी याद नहीं, लेकिन आपको याद है and you have moved forward with that same embarrassment, and that is what most of us are moving forward with. We forget to ask questions because हमें लगता है दूसरा हमारे बारे में क्या सोचेगा कि अरे इसको ये भी नहीं आता है. And we don't realize हमारे जैसे आसपास जो बैठे हैं वो सब यही सोच रहे हैं और कोई कुछ नहीं पूछ रहा है. So guys, please go ahead, ask questions. Because in this world, if you just go back and recall, आपके जितने भी conversations होते हैं, majority of the times you're asking questions to know how things are going in the lives of people around you, work or personal, right? Okay, क्योंकि questions के बिना हम कुछ सीख नहीं पाएंगे, right? So I have a personal story, a little story here. I'm not going to tell you the whole story, but for 15 years, I told you in my introduction, I've been a textile professional. I studied to be a textile professional. I worked in that field for 15 years before I made a shift to education. And that was the time when I had joined an institution, and that was a totally different field for me. मुझे नहीं आता था उसके बारे में कुछ, मुझे टीचिंग एजुकेशन के बारे में नहीं पता था, but I just randomly कुछ मतलब I just wanted to be out of where I was. So मैंने नया join किया, and I observed एंड आई आस्क्ड अ लॉट ऑफ क्वेश्चंस, क्योंकि मुझे पता था यार मेरे को कुछ करना तो है, अब मैंने ये ज्वाइन किया तो आई हैव टू डू दिस, सो आई आस्क्ड क्वेश्चंस. मैंने दिमाग खराब कर दिया था टीचर्स का. आई वुड I would make their life miserable. Some of them, I'm sure, they still hate me for asking so many questions, but that's how I learned, and that's how I grew, and that's how I also understood मुझे क्या नहीं करना है, right? Because if I hadn't done that, I wouldn't have been where I am today, because that made me a better professional in this field. And I was able to love what I started casually that day. Hi, Sapna. Thank you for joining. Thank you so much. So glad to see you here. Right? So ask questions, guys. मैं तो personal, so many times people have to tell me, निधि क्यों पूछ रही है, छोड़ना, ऐसे ही हो रहा है, यहाँ पर कुछ नहीं चेंज होने वाला है. When I was working, I was like, यार पूछ के देखने में क्या है, ना बोलेगा ना अगला इंसान, बोलने दो. But what if I don't even ask? Maybe I get answers to what I'm looking for. So go ahead, please ask, because there are lots of benefits of asking questions and asking the right questions. So before I move on to the 8th type of questions, I'm going to share with you the benefits of asking the right questions. Right? Why I say right questions? क्योंकि कुछ questions बहुत ही silly होते हैं, जिनके जवाब हमें पता होते हैं, लेकिन हम लोग फिर भी बाज नहीं आते वो पूछने से. And I'm sure each one of you can relate to one question. When you come home, मम्मी है सामने, अरे बेटा तुम घर आ गए, मैं सामने खड़ी हूँ. Right? You know right there. So these are questions which have no value, but you live with that, right? कोई सो रहा है, सो रहे थे क्या, अरे खाना खा रहे हो, खाना ही खा रहे हैं दिख रहा है, राइट? प्लेन में बैठे हुए हैं, ट्रैवलिंग टू बैंगलोर, कहाँ जा रहे हो आप, प्लेन से कूद के बाहर निकलूंगा, नहीं ना, बैंगलोर जा रहे हैं हम दोनों, right? So there are certain questions which we ask for the sake of asking. They're fun, but not important at all. So be very careful with them. But what are the benefits of asking the right questions? The first thing, you become wiser. Okay, wiser, wise, wisdom आ जाता है, थोड़ा सा ज्ञान मिल जाता है. So you become wiser, you get to know about what you really wanted to know about, right? So you become wiser, you learn a lot about life, about work, when you ask questions. आपने सुना होगा कि अगर आप अपना पर्पस भी ढूंढ रहे हो लाइफ में, ask questions to yourself, right? So you learn a lot about life if you ask the right questions. And there's a very famous thing, if you really want to succeed somewhere, you need to know your why. ओके, वो वाई क्या है, वो भी क्वेश्चन ही है, आपको पता होना चाहिए कि आपका वाई क्या है. सो क्वेश्चंस के बाद जब आप जानेंगे, आप सही क्वेश्चंस पूछेंगे, यू विल अंडरस्टैंड अ लॉट अबाउट लाइफ. अनदर थिंग, इट गिव्स यू अ लॉट ऑफ क्लैरिटी इन रिलेशंस. सो आपकी रिलेशनशिप्स बेटर होती हैं, बिकॉज मिसअंडरस्टैंडिंग्स कम होगी. माइट एज वेल आस्क, it's no big deal, ask, because you're going to have better harmonious relations rather than assuming. You'll be able to understand. Another thing, better communication. When you're asking, you're not assuming yourself, you're communicating without thinking, and more better communication, better relations, you become wiser. Everything is interrelated, right? And one more thing, it talks, asking the right question and the kind of questions, actually, it tells you about your quality of life. आपकी quality of life क्या है? Because the kind of questions that come in your mind, that's your thinking that's coming in your mind. And the right questions, the kind of questions you're asking, are all related to what's coming in your mind. They talk a lot about what's your quality of life and your quality of thoughts. Okay, so that's the benefit. You want to come across as intelligent? Ask the right questions, right? So don't ask silly. कभी कभी मजा आता है ऐसे silly questions में. पूछिए, मजेदार मजा करिए कभी कभी, but at a place where you do not need to come up with questions, unwanted ones, you can avoid it, right? So those are the little benefits of asking the right questions. And now let's talk about the 8 questions that can change your life. Use them whenever you wish to, in what situation you wish to use whichever question, but understand what are these different types of question, right? Hi Rahul, thank you so much for joining in. Thank you. Keep interacting, keep telling, uh, keep sharing your experiences. Okay, so the first type of question is very simple. हम सब यूज करते हैं उसको, on a daily basis we use it, right? And that question is closed type of questions. Closed. Now, closed questions बहुत simple होते हैं. One word answers. You know the answers. You know, somebody can just reply to you in one word or a phrase or whatever, right? What's your name? क्या बोलेगा बंदा? अपना नाम ही बोलेगा ना. Closed question है. उसके answers थोड़े fixed होते हैं, right? Do you drive? Where are you from? Would you like tea or coffee? आपने उनको ऑप्शन दिया है या एक सीधा सीधा क्वेश्चन पूछा है, उसी का जवाब मिलेगा, उससे ज्यादा कोई कुछ नहीं पूछेगा. Okay, so be very mindful of asking these questions. Why am I saying be very mindful? Is because most of the times we ask these questions and then we complain that we are not getting the right answers, पर हमारे आधे से ज्यादा questions सिर्फ और सिर्फ closed होते हैं. And this is something that is used majorly by trainers, teachers, educators, parents. तुम्हें समझ में आया? इसका सवाल का जवाब क्या होगा? बहुत ही कम लोग होंगे जो हिम्मत करके बोलेंगे नहीं आया. आधे से ज्यादा लोग बोलेंगे हाँ आ गया, लेकिन नहीं आता है समझ में, right? And what this is something I've noticed as an educator, as a trainer, as a facilitator, is that we give instructions and then we ask, have you understood? People say yes. And that's when they start doing whatever they are doing. And at the end of the activity or the task or the assignment, you realize, ki, I didn't ask this. Did something go wrong? And we feel the other person did not understand, but did we ask the right question? इसको भी पूछने का तरीका होता है. वी कॉल इट इंस्ट्रक्शन चेकिंग क्वेश्चंस, कॉन्सेप्ट चेकिंग क्वेश्चंस. वो एक अलग चीज है. विल डिस्कस इट सम टाइम, राइट? सो ये क्वेश्चंस आप पूछ सकते हैं जब आप किसी नए इंसान को मिलते हैं. व्हेन यू वार्मिंग अप टू समबडी, यू गेटिंग टू नो समबडी, यू कैन आस्क दैट. व्हेन यू वांट अ क्विक चेक, क्विक आंसर चाहिए, आपके पास इतना डिटेल डिस्कशन का टाइम नहीं है आपके लिए. ओके, सो you can use these questions. Okay, right? I want to ask you, which is your favorite type of question, closed question, right? Which is your favorite type of closed question? Do write in the chat box. I'd love to know. Okay, coming to the second one. The second type of question are open. पहला हो गया closed, दूसरा हो गया open. Wonderful. अब आपको पता है कि open question क्या होगा? राइट? अब क्लोज्ड आपको बहुत फिक्स्ड आंसर्स देगा, क्लोज्ड आपको ओपन थोड़ा आपको खुला आंसर देगा. इट रिक्वायर्स अ लिटिल बिट ऑफ मोर थॉट टू इट. ओके, there's a little scope of discussion, there's a little scope of elaborating it. थोड़ा सा डिटेल बता सकते हो आप. Questions like, why did you choose to join me here on the live today? ओके, अब अगर मैं आपसे ये क्वेश्चन पूछूं, वो अलग बात है कि मैं आपको सुन नहीं सकती. आई कैन ओनली, माई इंटरेक्शन हियर इज ओनली थ्रू चैट्स, अगर आप भेजते हो तो. अदरवाइज वी कैन नॉट इंटरैक्ट. देयर इज अ लिटिल बैरियर हियर, राइट? सो व्हाटएवर यू टेल मी, you are not going to give me a one word answer. You're going to give me at least a few sentences कि आप क्यों आए यहाँ पर? Why did you choose this career? What made you decide this destination for holiday? What do you think about last week's meeting? So आप किसी के thoughts पूछ रहे हो. So these are questions that you can ask when you're having some creative discussions. Okay? When you want to know more about something, किसी के ideas के बारे में पूछना चाहते हो, कुछ भी, so please use this question there. Okay? Understood? ये तो क्लोज क्वेश्चन था. Do write, do write in the chat box, right? The third type of question, the third type of question are probing questions. Probing, P-R-O-B-I-G, probing मतलब किसी चीज में और घुस के और जानना. Okay, you're probing. So when you need clarification about something, आपको और information जानना है, that's when you use probing questions, right? And these are a series of questions. ये एक question से काम नहीं चलेगा. अब आपने open question पूछा, one question good enough, you can get an answer. But probing का मतलब है आप back to back question, दो तीन questions पूछ रहे हो. Police investigations देखी हैं आपने? You might have seen a lot. I'm sure you've not gone to be investigated, but you might have watched on TV a lot, right? Probing questions when back to back and police is investigating and they show on television, right? Those are probing questions. Like, what do you think about this project? Would you need some help on it? Do you think you'll be able to manage it alone? And what if I connect with you in 2 days to check the progress of this project? Would you be fine with it? So मैंने ये तीन चार क्वेश्चन पूछ के क्या किया, right? I am asking about different aspects. I'm probing more कि कोई problem तो नहीं है, कोई help चाहिए, and तुम सोचते क्या हो? Okay, so I am getting to know more details about what the person thinks about that particular project. So you decide how and when you want to use this, right? But this probing questions can really help you to clear any misunderstandings, right? When you need to see a bigger picture, when you need to avoid any misunderstandings, सब कुछ clear कर लीजिए. कोई भी question बड़ा या छोटा नहीं होता, बहुत important होता है. So be very very clear about it, right? Cool. Tell me if you've ever used probing questions. Write in the chat box, write in the comments, and I would love to know how probing questions have helped you. Okay, now the next question, set of questions are very, very important, and they're fun, right? Because they lead you as as a person who's answering, as a respondent, they lead you to what the person who's asked the question, they lead you to the answer, right? So these are very nice questions, and I uh, recently had an experience of had a chance to experience a very beautiful set of leading questions during one of the interviews. Sapna, if you're still there, it was during the session that I had attended with you and Ganesh. Leading question where that five wala card game jo tha, right? So leading questions, they lead. If I'm asking a question, I will lead you to the answer I am looking for, right? Positive or negative, they can be simple, they can be complicated also. They can be a series of questions that you ask which lead somebody in a particular direction so that you get the answer you are looking for, right? As a facilitator, if I'm in a training, I do not want to give out answers all the time. So what will I do? I will ask certain questions so that my audience, the participants, are able to answer in the direction, उस तरीके से उस डायरेक्शन में देखें जहां पर मैं चाहती हूं कि वो सोचे, एंड देन दे गिव मी द आंसर, right? So leading question, as the name tells you, they lead you. Okay, let me give, do you have any issues with the project? Now what is this question talking about? Its question is talking about the issues. Now even if the person can answer a yes or a no, right? But it will also, the person will only talk about the issues, not about any random thing about the project, right? The project is going well, isn't it? मुझे क्या जानना है? मुझे जानना है कि प्रोजेक्ट अच्छा चल रहा है. उसका आंसर मुझे मिल जाएगा, right? So I'm leading the person to answering what I want. How satisfied are you with our services? Have you filled a feedback form sometimes? Those are all leading questions क्योंकि वो आपसे एक specific चीज के बारे में पूछ रहे हैं. They're leading you towards it. Okay, so many times we ask for testimonials from my clients, and तो बहुत बार तो बहुत रैंडम आ जाता है. एंड कभी कभी वो हमसे पूछते हैं कि मतलब मुझसे पूछेंगे कि कुछ स्पेसिफिक चाहते हो क्या, सो दैट्स व्हेन आई आस्क देम अ कपल ऑफ लीडिंग क्वेश्चंस दैट दिस इज व्हाट आई वुड लाइक देम टू से. Obviously I do not tell them, but I ask them questions. How was your experience? So they talk about, and how did you find my skills as a facilitator? um, so I kind of lead them to think in that lines. How do you think this has helped you? So they will talk about how this program might have helped them. So lead करने के लिए it helps you during when you want a desired answer, during closing a sale, but be very careful, be negative direction, and don't be very pushy. Don't be very pushy when you are actually leading somebody into it. Okay, so be very, very careful with it. So leading questions, do write what is your favorite leading question, or if anything that's coming to your mind ki, how many use kiya tha, right? What was it, right? The next one, how many of you love loaded pizzas, loaded extra cheese, loaded nachos, loaded fries early in the morning at 11:20? I'm asking you all of this because the next set of questions are loaded questions. These are closed type of questions, but with a twist. इसके साथ एक बट आ जाता है. Okay, but they have a very, very nice twist to it. They're very pushy questions, very manipulative, usually asked in interviews, usually asked by journalists and lawyers. जितने advocates मिलेंगे जब वो case लड़ रहे होंगे, they are, and these questions are based on assumptions. ओके, एंड अजम्पशंस भी इस तरीके से आपके सामने रखते हैं हम इस क्वेश्चन के थ्रू, लोडेड क्वेश्चन, सो दैट इट लीड्स, इट ट्रिक्स द पर्सन हु इज रिस्पॉन्डिंग एंड इट मेक्स देम आंसर इट इन डिटेल. ठीक है, मैं आपको क्वेश्चन बताती हूँ. हैव यू स्टॉप चीटिंग इन एग्जाम्स? मैंने आप पे डायरेक्ट मतलब आरोप नहीं लगाया, लेकिन अजम्पशन के बेसिस पे मैंने पूछा एक, राइट? अब इसका जवाब या तो यस होगा या नो होगा, या कुछ डिटेल्स आएंगे. नो, आई हैवंट. सो यू विल गेट अ लॉट मोर डिटेल्स. क्लोज्ड क्वेश्चन है बट ट्रिकी है. यू विल गेट अ लॉट मोर डिटेल्स इन दिस. So since women are smarter than men, shouldn't they be paid equally as men? So since women are as smart as men, shouldn't they be paid equally as men? Now, opinion है, assumption है. मैंने आपसे क्वेश्चन पूछा, आप या तो यस या नो बोलोगे, या आप इस क्वेश्चन के साथ यू आर गोइंग टू शेयर योर थॉट्स ऑल्सो इन टू इट. These are loaded questions. Simple, straight, closed answers, closed questions, but with a twist, which have assumptions. Very tricky questions. So frame these questions well in advance. Don't just try them. Okay, you might end up offending somebody. So these questions can change your life. You can get a lot of information when you want to discover facts about something, somebody. Use these questions. Okay, but be very careful so that it does not come across as negative, right? Cool. Are you able to remember or recall any loaded question? Do write in the chat box. And if you have any experience with loaded questions, do write it. And that takes me to the sixth one. Sixth one. I'm sure you might have heard about this. Funnel questions. Funnel देखिए आपने, right? You have a top and then you have a narrow neck and all that stuff, right? So just like a funnel, these type of questions are again a series of questions. बहुत broad पे start होते हैं. Then they go narrow, 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 and then they become very specific, right? So that is what funnel questions are. Funnel type of questions are. They are a combination of three types of questions: open questions, probing questions, and then closed questions. So closed है तो वो specific पे आ जाता है, right? This can also be done vice versa. You start with closed and then you probe and then you open up, go very broad, depending on the situation. So let me give you an example. Notice the kind of questions I'm asking now. Okay, obviously when you're asking to somebody, you will also be giving them time to speak. लेकिन मैं अभी आपको back to back बताती हूँ. Tell me more about yourself. We use a lot in coaching when we talk about our client. We talk to our clients to know more about how we can help them. We talk a lot about this. सेल में भी काम आता है, सेल्स में काम आता है, कोई भी क्लाइंट मीटिंग्स में काम आता है. So tell me more about yourself, whatever you want to know. Can you be more specific about dash 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 about this problem? Okay, can you give me an example? नोटिस कर रहे हो, मैंने ओपन किया, ब्रॉड से ओपन किया, टेल मी मोर अबाउट योरसेल्फ. नाउ आई एम नैरोइंग डाउन धीरे धीरे. ओके, हाउ लॉन्ग हैज दिस बीन एन इशू? How has it been affecting your organization or your life? Okay, मैं और डीप जा रही हूँ. Have you tried doing something about it in the past? Did that help? How do you feel about it that you haven't found your solution? Okay. Have you given up trying? What do you want to do now? Right? So are you seeing how it's going down? मैंने broad से आके narrow down कर लिया है. पहले बहुत general पूछा, फिर और specific, फिर उसको और dig किया, probing में आई, and then come down. So you can devise your own set of questions. इसमें आप decide कर सकते हो according to whatever conversation you're having. So you can decide what kind of a funnel, what kind of questions you want to put into this funnel. ठीक है, तो सोचिएगा. Helps a lot to release stress, to release to smoothen out arguments, helps a lot in building relations, to getting to know somebody, helps the person who is answering, उनको सोचने पे मजबूर करता है. These kind of questions. So what do we do in coaching? What do we do when you're talking to our clients? We don't give them answers, we make them think. Okay, that's how coaching is, right? So we make them think, and when they are talking, when they are speaking from their mouth, they're thinking, they're hearing themselves. So these kind of questions really, really help. So that's why I said, every type of question can help in some place or the other, right? Have you experienced any funnel questions? Write in the chat box. I would love to know from you. आपका क्या experience है? And if you have any questions about whatever we have discussed till now we have discussed closed, we've discussed open, probing, leading, loaded, and funnel. And the seventh one is recall and process questions होते हैं. टेक्निकल टर्म साउंड कर रही होंगी, भाई ये बहुत जनरल क्वेश्चंस है जो हम अपनी आम जिंदगी में पूछ सकते हैं. रिकॉल एंड प्रोसेस. रिकॉल मतलब रिकैप, प्रोसेस मतलब क्या समझ में आया. Okay, so recall helps you remember these questions. I'll ask you, how many types of questions did I discuss in this session till now? Can you tell me the names of these questions? Recall chal raha hai. Okay, if you give me an answer, it's a recall. Then become process questions जो होते हैं, they help you to add your own opinion to it. Okay, what do you think are the benefits of asking the right questions? How can it help you? Now you can add your opinions here. आपके benefits, आपको क्या मदद मिल रही है? You're understanding? Recall and benefit. So understand where to use what. Right? So it helps, it encourages a lot of critical thought thinking, the critical thinking process. Usko encourage karta hai, because it's allowing you to add your opinions, right? And it's good for discussions, it's good for evaluations. Fine. So recall and process, ye seventh type of questions hai. And eighth type of question mere favorite hai. I use quite a lot in my sessions. I'm sure many people are using it. Is widely used in trainings. Speakers use it, public speakers, professional speakers, keynote speakers, sab use karte hain question ko, because these questions do not require an answer. Okay, these questions do not require an answer. They are simply statements which we put across as questions, जो दूसरे सुनने वाले को सोचने पे मजबूर कर देते हैं. आंसर देने की जरूरत नहीं है, सोच रहा है इंसान. You are put into that thinking mode, and when you are thinking, my work is done. I'm not here to change you. I'm only here so that you start thinking, right? So these questions help you with that. Let me give you an example. Can you imagine life without water on earth? I don't want an answer. I want you to think. Isn't it nice working with a mastermind group? Okay, not looking for an answer, just looking that the audience should, the participant should be thinking कि हाँ ये तो अच्छी बात है ना, मास्टरमाइंड ग्रुप के साथ मतलब जो एक ही डायरेक्शन में सेम अलग थिंकिंग के साथ लोग आगे बढ़ रहे हैं. हाँ यार, पानी खत्म हो जाएगा तो लाइफ कैसी होगी? Don't you feel this online interaction through lives has made life easier? Right? I'm only, what am I doing? I'm You're thinking now, हाँ यार लाइफ तो इजी हो गई है. मेरे को, मैं अपने घर पे बैठा हूँ, मैं अपने ऑफिस में बैठा हूँ, काम कर रहा हूँ, एंड साइड बाय साइड मैं लाइव भी सुन रहा हूँ. लाइफ इजी हो गई है ना. आई डोंट नीड टू गो समवेयर, आई डोंट नीड टू पे एनीबडी टू लिसन टू समथिंग. Rhetorical questions, right? Life's beautiful with gratitude, isn't it? I want to tell you, life is beautiful with gratitude. But मैंने क्वेश्चन की तरह आपसे पूछा. Life is beautiful with gratitude, isn't it? Rhetorical questions. Rhetorical questions. Rhetorical. Rhetorical. Right? They are used to engage the listener and leave them with a thought. Use करिए. Answer मत ढूंढिए. Right? So that's the 8th type of question, used a lot for engagement, persuasion में काम आती हैं ये चीजें. Right? So how many questions have I discussed today? How many types of questions that can help you? और ये कौन से तरीके का क्वेश्चन था? This was a recall question. 8 types of questions. What I have discussed with you. What are these 8 questions? Closed, open, probing, leading, loaded, funnel, recall and process, and rhetorical. If you missed any, the recording is going to be saved. Go back, understand those type of questions, right? These are the questions you can use at any stage in life, any area of life, पर्सनल, प्रोफेशनल, बच्चों के साथ यूज करिए, फैमिली के साथ यूज करिए, कलीग्स के साथ करिए, अपनी टीम मेंबर्स के साथ करिए. डिसाइड आप किस बारे में बात करना चाहते हो, क्या जानना चाहते हो, और अगर कुछ जानना चाहते हो तो पूछो क्वेश्चन और जवाब देने की भी क्षमता रखो. Okay, you can't just ask, you have to answer also. But just asking the question, a question ko frame karna is not enough. Your tone, the pitch in which you ask, the intonation, your body language, expression, they play an important role in the way you ask a question. आप क्वेश्चन पूछो बिना किसी कनेक्शन के, आपका टोन, आपका पिच इज all over the place, you will not get any answer. Right? So communication में आपका body language, आपका 93% of your communication is all about tone, pitch, intonation, body language. 7% वर्ड्स, क्वेश्चन फ्रेम कर लिया, वो सिर्फ 7% है. उसको डिलीवर कैसे करोगे, पूछोगे कैसे, 93% वो है. सो फोकस ऑन दैट, बिकॉज उसके बिना ये गुड क्वेश्चंस भी बैड बन जाएंगे. So be very, very careful. Go ahead, ask the right questions, and do write in the chat box which question is your favorite type of question. दो चीजें पूछ रही हूँ आपसे, दो questions I'm asking, and I would love to have your answers in the chat, in the comments. Please do write. The questions are, which is your favorite type of question out of these 8 questions? कौन सा तरीके के question है जो आप बहुत ज्यादा पूछते हो, आपका favorite है? Okay, knowingly, unknowingly. दूसरा क्वेश्चन मेरा ये है आपसे, what change would you make in asking questions? Okay, आप क्या चेंज लाएंगे अपने क्वेश्चन पूछने के तरीके में अब? Right, so you can answer which question you'd like to add more in your questioning skills. Right, so 2 questions, do answer, leave your comments, and I would love to know from you, and do let me know if today's session helped you, today's live helped you, And आप क्या लेके जा रहे हो यहाँ से? I'm going to see you next week again. And I hope if you have any particular topic you'd like to discuss, you want me to talk about, write in the chat box. If you're joining on YouTube, all the links are going to be given in this particular, with the description of this video. And if you're joining on LinkedIn, you can directly message me on my personal message. And yes, let's stay connected and do leave an answer. Do not leave without sharing your answer. Right? Have a wonderful day and a beautiful week ahead. And I hope it's going to be a massively successful week for you. Enjoy. Have a good time. And thank you, Amir. So good to see you here. Probing questions. Is that what you use, or is that what you're going to add? So, what is it, Amir? Do write that. I'd love to know. And thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining in. Do leave your messages because I can still read your messages in the comments even after this is over. I'm going to see you next week. Take good care of yourself and stay connected. And if you haven't subscribed my YouTube channel, go ahead, do that also. Thank you. Bye bye.